Lovely. So, as I wait for a few of you to join me, I know some of you are joining me live, some are going to be watching on replay. As you're joining, say hello. If you're watching on replay later on, just hashtag replay. Technology failed me this morning, which I was not going to be fazed by. So I've had to do a makeshift setup. That very nearly was a different word, with my laptop and my phone as a torch, so you can see my shadow on the back, because otherwise the room is so dark. But my lights all decided to not work. But hey ho, I'm here. So I wanted to come on and do some information to you about the problems that come up a lot when you are manifesting, because you may feel that you are the only one to experience certain problems, or it's something you're specifically doing wrong, when actually, hi Hannah, nice to see, hi Yvonne, there's a few things that are really, really common, and the really common 3 topics, and there's lots of stuff that comes up within those headings, are belief, mindset and action. And they're the 3 things that I'm going to be looking at in this series of free workshops. So today is all about belief, then on Thursday at 1 o'clock is all about mindset, and then next Tuesday, so the 28th at 1 o'clock I believe, is going to all be about action, because those 3 things combined make really powerful manifesting. And if you think about manifesting, there's a lot of conversation about manifesting, right? There's a lot of people talking about it, teaching about it, there's lots of different methods and theories and all this stuff, and it can just be so much information that it gets completely overwhelming and you just lose the plot. If you kind of rein it all back, manifesting ultimately is creating your pathway through your life. It's deciding the things that you want to experience, and that you're going to play an active part in those things coming forward and being part of your lived experience. So what it isn't, and this is the key thing that I hear about, see as well, other people talking about time and again, it's not just thinking, I would really love to live in a 7-bedroom house with a swimming pool, and that's the end of conversation, end of action, no work, no effort, no input from you. It's just going, okay, universe, provide it. There's that. When this whole think, believe, receive thing came out, this kind of tagline, it became this understanding that if you just believe that you want something, that's enough for you to then experience it. And that's technically not true. Yes, okay. To believe that you want something, to identify something that you want, and so build the belief around that. And if it is that 7-bedroom house or a swimming pool, that was just an example off the top of my head, then fine. But it doesn't end there, because there is a process to it. And manifesting becomes a lifestyle choice. It's like whatever religion or spiritual connection or science, whatever it is that you believe in, of, hi Becky, something bigger than yourselves. It's understanding that there's certain things that you do to connect to it, and it's not the same. But think of, for example, so I stopped eating meat in 2018, so it'll be 5 years at the end of this year. That's a lifestyle choice, right? So I decided to no longer eat meat, which then means that I can't just think, oh, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. But when I go to the supermarket, don't choose what I buy. When I go out to eat, don't look and think, oh no, that's meat, so I won't eat that. It's not like if I choose to not eat meat, then the universe will only allow me to walk down the aisles in the supermarket where there is no meat, or only go to restaurants where it's only veggie or vegan. Like, that could happen, but it's about the relationship that you build with the universe, rather than God, whatever your belief system is, whatever's bigger than you, rather than you expecting the other to do everything for you. And I find this a lot with the belief. But the belief also trips up other things. So it might be that you really want to build a successful business that means you can leave your day job. But fundamentally, you believe that you don't really know what you're going to build your business on. You don't know if anyone's going to buy anything that's going to make you any money, that's going to get even near the tip of the iceberg of the money that you make working for someone else. So the belief then that underpins, that creates the foundation of that desire is faulty, right? It's like if you look at a house, it needs really, really strong foundations to build and put all of the stuff, so the floors, the walls, the ceiling, all the weight that goes into a house, so that the ceiling doesn't just crumble. It needs really, really good foundations to hold it all up. And the belief when it comes to manifesting is like the foundations. It is setting really, really strong foundations so that when you move through the process, your belief is nailed. And belief is probably the hardest thing to do. Sometimes for some people, hi Danny, one of the really hard things to do is to decide what you want. Because you could, for example, say, I'm just looking at puppies outside. You might think, hi Diana, okay, I want a new job. So you think you are manifesting a new job. If you think about that though, how broad is that? That's extremely broad. And then what you may not be noticing is that there's things that are coming forward and saying, hi, I'm a new job, hi, I'm a new job, hi, I'm a new job. But you may not even be looking at them because they are not anything that you want to be doing. You might know that you want a new job, and to you that means you want to be working in a corporate bank, yeah? But you set that like, right, I want a new job. I want a new job by the end of 2023. That's the thing that I'm going to be manifesting. But you don't specify any more clearly what you want that new job to be than I want a new job. So then there might be a job that comes up, say, in a charity or working for a grassroots organisation or a startup. None of those things are what you want because you want a job in a corporate bank. But they are new jobs. So you can see where the confusion in the language with the universe. When it comes to manifesting, think about having a really good, clear, effectively communicated and honest relationship with someone else. If you say something half-assed, not full of detail and information, and not very clear, chances are the other person is going to be confused. If you think of this, yeah, Becky, that's so true. You know, that's a very good way of looking at it as well. It is about seeing in your life, looking back at your life and going, okay, yeah, like what did I want that actually did come forward, but not in the way that I wanted it. It's like when you're working with crystal grids or you're working with pendulums, you've got to be really clear on what you want. You don't have to be, there's a fine line between being vague and being too specific. You want to allow for some surprises, but you want to like be clear about your intention. So, I want a new house. I want to move. And then it might be that you've got to move because there's subsidence in your house or your landlord's got to sell and it's just not what you want. No way, I was going to swear. No way, that's not the intention. What you want is, you want to move to a bigger house with a bigger garden in a different area that's got amenities closer to home that you can walk to. You don't have to get in your car as much. You know, all the stuff. It's about painting the picture. And all of this stuff feeds into your belief because we can very easily go, right, I'm going to try this manifesting lark. And then go, right, I'm thinking, right, so think, believe, receive. So think, all right, I want this 7-bedroom house with the swimming pool. I know, Becky, it made me think of you. And then, right, I thought it, and then believe it. So believing it is one above thinking it, yeah? So believing it is that in your core, you believe that you will achieve that thing. And if it, in a way, if it feels too far removed from where you are right now, and your self-belief isn't really, really hot, on point, yes, I don't care what obstacles there are, I believe that I can have that. And let's be fair, like most of us aren't like that, and definitely not all the time. Then there's going to be some trip. It's about, that's why manifesting, when you start with small things. That's why they say, like in The Secret, it's all about starting with the car parking space at the supermarket, or thinking of something and then seeing it, but thinking of something obscure. So it's about easing yourself into the practice and then doing more of it. Any of you that drive, right? You're not going to get into the car with the driving instructor and the driving instructor go, right, I want you to do, I don't know if you've got magic roundabouts near you, there's a magic roundabout here. And a magic roundabout basically is like, I think there's 8 little roundabouts around a big roundabout. So I want you to go around the magic roundabout, or I want you to go over a double roundabout on your first lesson when you've never even figured out how to sort the pedals out. You're not going to like go way ahead without focusing and practicing the basic steps. You're not going to run before you can walk. And so if you know that in life you find believing in yourself, believing that you're going to have good experiences. I love the magic roundabout. Now I go around it a lot now, so that's why I'm used to it. If you don't believe in yourself, in your life, that you can have the things that you want, if there's been experiences in your life that have made you question your self-worth, just if it's worth you even believing in anything, because everything always just goes tits up and everything doesn't go the way you want it to, then the belief bit of manifesting is going to be a little bit trickier. And that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you need to be aware of that and work a little bit harder on this step. Because it might be that once we get to action, you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. I can put all these things into practice. That's easy. Yeah. But it's the belief bit. And most people, I would say 90% of people trip up on belief. Well, most people that know you have to take action will trip up on belief. I find a lot of teaching about manifesting is as if it's all just in your mind, which it is. It fundamentally, it takes its root in your mind. It's fed by your mind, but you also have to action it too. But we'll get onto that when we do the action workshop. So when it comes to believing in manifesting, it's kind of twofold. It's believing in the process of manifesting, so that this kind of out there kooky spiritual system of not really understanding how it works, and it's all about energy and what does that really mean, and it depends if you're kind of logical scientific mindset or just like yeah cool kind of mindset and all this stuff, and it's not mainstream. It's more heard of, but it's not mainstream. What does it all mean? And believing in that. So actually believing in the fact that manifesting can work, and all these people that have all these stories about all these amazing experiences, and like, yeah, right, did you really do that manifesting, or have you just got a sugar daddy, or, you know, a husband with loads of money, or daddy pays for it, or mummy pays for it, or someone, you know, or you just have a fuck off huge job that pays for it, and the manifesting is just a lie. All this stuff, all this doubt stuff can come forward, because if you've never experienced anything, and it seems so far removed from where you are, it can be really hard to get your head around. I'll just read Hannah's comment. Negative experiences, right? So when you get a negative experience, it anchors that. Yeah. So say you get let down. So then, all right, I'll give a more specific example. Say, for example, you're going to go for a house. We'll do the 7-bedroom house with a swimming pool. So you've seen a 7-bedroom house with a swimming pool that you love. You've fallen in love with it. You know it's the perfect house. You go to put an offer in. It gets all the way to the very end, and then suddenly it falls through. And that happens. So you anchor that feeling. I got let down. It didn't work. I wanted it. I didn't get it. And then all the other stuff can come up. I always fail. I never get what I want. I'm not good enough. This isn't meant for me in my life. Da 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 da. And we all have those thoughts, those limiting beliefs, those negative thoughts, but I don't want to like label it as like all negative. I don't mean it in a judgmental way. It's just what I mean by negative is a thought that isn't going to help you and elevate you and empower you, is going to bring you down. Yeah, we all have those. There have been experiences in all of our lives that have meant that we felt just a bit shit, or quite a lot shit, or very damn shit, somewhere on that scale. And it's about kind of untying yourself to those experiences, so that those experiences that genuinely did let you down, upset you, hurt you, show you that you didn't get what you wanted in that moment, you don't have to still be attached to those, because every given second is an opportunity to create a change. And just because it didn't work then doesn't mean it won't work now. And especially if you're more open to exploring what happened, why didn't it work, where was I at, what was I wanting, was it really going to serve me, all of this stuff, then you're more likely to be able to step forward and manifest as a lifestyle. And I do see it as a lifestyle choice. It is about reframing a lot of things. So when you have your thoughts and you think, well, that didn't work, and that didn't work, and that didn't work, and I always fail, and oh, these things always happen to me. It's about pausing and going, okay, they do, yeah, they have happened. It's true. It's not like you're lying, but it doesn't have to be your future just because it's been your past. And you get to decide today, all right, actually, I'm going to try something different. And I'm still going to believe that good things can happen and I can move forward and I can create the change that I want, because I'm making that active decision now and I'm believing it to be true. And there's a difference. There's a difference between just having a thought and believing that thought to be true, and that there's the opportunity for that thought to come forward. So like I said earlier, if you feel like the thing that you want, say for example, the 7-bedroom house with the swimming pool, I would not want a 7-bedroom house. That'd just be too much cleaning. But anyway, I hate cleaning. Sorry, as a side note, if that just seems so far removed from where you're at right now, oh, itchy nose now, they always say that there's spirit in it, then it's going to feel like such an uphill struggle. I would suggest focusing on manifesting something closer to home and easier to get your head around, just for you to practice. So the walking before you can run example, yeah? So don't go and sign up for a 10k when you haven't run since you did cross country in school. Oh my God, do you remember cross country? Ugh, I used to bunk those days. When you maybe bunked school because cross country was not your thing, then I'm not going to sign up for a 10k. I'm just not going to do it, because that is definitely running before I can walk. So it's about picking something in this process that you can start to play with the process, understand how you respond to the steps that you need to take, and then you can start applying it to bigger and bigger things. Hannah, you definitely manifested a few things in the past, and it's a hurdle, but you believe it does work in magical ways. It does, it really does. And you know what, when you start to see it come forward in your life, you just go like, yeah, Becky, you do love running now. I'm surprised you hate cross country. I genuinely would bunk those days from school. You'd be surprised how much excitement and hope and just you feel like you've had a Red Bull or something. I mean, I'm not a Red Bull drinker, but you know what I mean, right? The energy that you get from I suddenly feel like more awake, because these things are happening for you, because you're seeing the changes that you want to be experiencing, because suddenly things seem to be working. And a lot of that, I would say probably 80% of that starts in your mind, in your thoughts. And your thoughts are then what feed your beliefs, and your beliefs are what ground them and root them and give them the foundations. So if your thoughts as well tend to be quite on the, nah, this ain't gonna work, or even when you're thinking about other people, and this is probably the easiest way to notice it in yourself, because you might be so used to thinking more negatively about yourself that you might not realise it's happening. But if you can hear the thoughts that you have about other people probably quicker and easier. So if you know that, say someone's got a new car, or, oh my God, Yvonne, you love cross country, you're so good. Someone's got a new car or a new outfit or a new partner or going on holiday or whatever. If your first thought, you know, it's that classic post that you see, and it's about like women supporting women. If your first thought, or if it's a man or whoever it is, but is to congratulate that person, or to say like, you know what, kudos, yeah, because I can't wait to go visit there, so you've got to tell me how it is. If you think like that, then you will find it easier, probably, to think like that about yourself. You might be really good at thinking good for other people and not great at yourself, and then that's probably related to some other experiences, and we can delve into that. But if you find that when someone gets a new car, goes on a holiday, or gets a new partner, and you're instantly like, fuck her, then chances are your thoughts about yourself are going to be as bad but worse, because we're our own worst critics, right? So it's about recognising the thoughts that we have and how they start to play, because if our thoughts are like that, then the beliefs that we have in ourselves and everything else is that nothing's going to work. And if we believe nothing will work, it won't work. And I know this is a really hard sticking point to go, you've got to believe it's going to work for it to work. Be like, but how can I believe it's going to work if I haven't seen the proof that it will work? Because you kind of just got to believe it's going to work to see that it's going to work. And it can be this cycle. And that's why people talk about the things that they've manifested, to give you that opportunity to see that it has worked for other people. But sometimes that's not enough, because you want to experience it yourself. That is why I say you start at the small things and then you lead up into the bigger things. Because there's a lot of learning that you go on in this process of manifesting, because so much of it is based in your thoughts and your beliefs. You start to understand what's really going on in your mind, in your subconscious, in your unconscious. Same thing, just two different words for it. But all the background stuff kind of like the narration to your life that is like really quiet. So unless you tap into listening to it, you don't necessarily hear it. It's going to teach you all of that stuff that's going on. And that has such a huge impact on everything that you get to do in your life, that if you don't tap into it, you're missing out on so much information. You know, like if you're really interested in a historical thing that happened, like, I don't know, the ancient Egyptians or something, and you watch TV programs about it, or you listen to podcasts, or you read books and stuff, and you absorb all this information, get as interested in yourself as anything that you're interested in outside, so that you start to listen to your subconscious stroke unconscious. So that you listen to these signs that you're getting that give you information about you. Because the more you understand yourself, the better your life is going to be. Because you will know that. You hear me talk about this a lot. At full moon, you're as narky as. So it's probably good to just avoid having difficult conversations. Or if something starts, it's like, all right, let's talk about this in a couple of days, because I'm just not in the mood today. Because you know it's more likely to lead into an argument. Or you know that certain people wind you up. So perhaps limit your exposure to those people, if at all possible. Or if you're around them, take a lot of deep breaths. Once you understand yourself more, you might realise that actually you have a deep-rooted belief. You don't necessarily need to know where it came from, but you have a deep-rooted belief that things won't work out for you in life. That in some way they're always going to fail. This is a really common belief, actually. And that knowledge of that means that when you start a process like manifesting, where it's all about believing in yourself and believing that you can have, that you're worthy of, that life can be this nice to you, all of those things, that when you start this process, you can understand where that deep-rooted belief of feeling like you're not worthy and you're not going to get those things starts to play out and starts to come up and go like, I'm here. I'm going to mess this up for you. And you can then deal with it and keep moving forward. It's not about being the perfect being that never thinks anything negative, that always believes in themselves, sits on a mountain, meditating all the time. That's just not real life for most of us. Yeah, unless you're like a monk or something, or a yogi that just lives out wherever, doing that all the time. And that's not what I'm about. I certainly don't have to climb the mountain. It's about applying things to your life. I make myself laugh. It's about applying things to your life so that you get to experience the benefits. So you get the things that you really want, having the belief that you can, and working through the beliefs that show up, that trip you up. It is possible. I was the person that hated themselves in so many different ways. Believed that everything was just going to go to shit. Nothing was going to work out. What else? Yeah, I just had a lot of self-hate, a lot of negativity. I would like fall into gossip. I had so many people around me that loved a good old gossip, but like a real bitchy gossip as well. And I was just absorbed in all this energy, and me as a person, I absorb energy really easily. So then it's like bringing me into that space. No, it was one big pile of mess. If I can go from that to believing in myself and choosing to live my life in the way that I do, because it is a choice, and realigning so much, like when you're driving, you're like looking in your mirror, changing gear, looking at your side mirrors, doing all this stuff, indicating, windscreen wipers, baby in the back. You're doing it all because it's second nature. This can become second nature too. So I'm going to be back on Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'll make another event for that. We're going to talk about mindset in that. So it's kind of leading into this, but a little bit deeper. Do join me there if you would like to. And for those of you that haven't, I know a few of you have already that have been watching me today, if you want to join the Manifesting Challenge, this year I'm all about making things more accessible for all of you. So I've changed my pricing about, and I'm putting together all the information. I've been teaching about manifesting for, it's got to be 4 or 5 years, and I've got loads of courses. So I'm bringing together the basic steps to create a 31-step process to get it manifesting to make manifesting a lifestyle choice, so that it becomes a new habit. So the Manifesting Challenge is £22 and 22p, and I've opened it up that if you join before tomorrow, so Wednesday at 11:59 p.m, you will get a free 30-minute one-to-one with me, so we can dive into your manifesting. I would suggest doing that after the challenge, so you know where you start tripping up in yourself. If you'd like to join, I'll put the link in the comments. Ladies, thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. I will come back and respond to you all. I will see you Thursday at 1 o'clock for those of you that can join me there. Any questions, just pop them in the comments and I'll come back and answer them. Have a gorgeous day and I will speak to you all very soon.